11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
We're going to see if anybody joins us tonight. Go live here for a little bit. Mostly because everybody else is scared to go live. In this section of time between whatever this is, Christmas and New Year's. Let's go see if anybody's out there. Woods is joining us. Welcome. If anybody wants a link, can let me know. Let's see. We'll click on this. And is my corking anybody? I don't think this is anybody's time to be live, and I don't see anybody out there, so I don't think I'm corking anybody. So I can do some stuff while we're sitting here, seeing if anybody shows up with any topics or anything. But yeah, just figured I'd go live for a little bit. Outcast is out there. Like I say, if somebody wants a link, let me know. Figured I'd just go live chat about guns since people haven't done this in a while. It's probably the better. Maybe this one. That way you can see more of the patches on the table there. Let's see, I can go over here and choose the pizza also. That's a pretty good one. That's an expensive one. I think I probably ruined a couple of those guns doing that. It's a big-ass pizza, though. That place is out of business now. Got a Heritage Roscoe Taurus 856 and a Hatfield single barrel in 2025. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, no, I bought a gun. I did buy a gun this year. That little gun I bought up at the museum in Cody. So I bought a 4-shot. What do you call those guns? I forget what you call them now. Little 4-barrel 4-shot thing. G23's out there. Welcome. I got a new microphone, so let me know. Should be okay. It's a $30 microphone. It's nothing, or maybe a $40 microphone. Got it at a bin store for $15, so stoked. Got it for less than half off, little less than half off. They're telling me it sounds all right. 5x5, right on. All right, well, so 2025, been a couple of shows now that have talked about, good stuff that's happened. I think somebody on the Gun Owners Radio just ended when they were doing that section of their show. They asked what the good stuff was in 2025. Then they asked what the bad stuff was. And, well, I've said this a million times, but I think one of the things that is I picked for my bad thing, the fact that we don't change our ways, that we haven't changed our game. And I don't know what will prompt us to do that, but I think it'd be good if we could just end this everlasting debate about guns. I think we have a lot of examples between cars and marijuana now, and drunk driving, other social issues or ills, or whatever you want to call them, that parallel what's going on with guns, that I think we could end this gun debate already. There's certainly a lot of people on both sides that profit off of it. I think a big thing in 2025 has been privacy. I think that's something that has been overlooked. I'd like to see more people addressing that. There was a few years there where we addressed it quite a bit. That's one of the reasons we built gun channels, honestly. But nothing has really changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. And the more we become just immune, or like we pay less and less attention to our privacy, the more they take advantage of that. So it's something I'd like to see a little more, see us as a community be a little more aware and protective of. And it would help us out, having like phones and stuff that were built inside the community or something. That would be great. Woods is saying it's true every year the Overton window is slow, for sure. Every once in a while we see it jump right or skip ahead, but for the most part, I think it kind of hovers too, right? It's kind of like a helicopter with a spotlight shining down, right? It's not so much like the sun where it's going to come in and be in the same pretty consistent place, and over the seasons it moves. I think it's more like a helicopter. It's kind of in one spot, but every once in a while it kind of jumps around based on whatever. And, I think you have a potential to move the helicopter over, but I think it's always going to just be kind of bouncing around wherever it is. But remember, we have discussions, I think you remember, back right around 20 probably, end of 20 maybe, there was those kind of discussions happening on a fairly regular basis. I don't know if those discussions aren't happening or if I'm just not aware of them. Maybe those discussions are happening out there, either on YouTube channels I'm not paying attention to, or like on Reddit or Rumble or something else. Last year or the year before, I forget, at SHOT Show, I saw the people from Rumble walking around. And then the year after, it must have been at least a couple years ago that I seen this. The year after, I seen them walking around again. So, and I've heard of them being at other events. So it's possible that we'll see some platforms that cater to us, maybe. Glover's out there. It's the end of the weekend. I kind of lost a day being sick this weekend. So I figured I'd go live here. The end of the evening. And I got all my other stuff done for the most part that I'm going to do today. Getting ready for a pretty big day tomorrow. But Clover's out there. We could talk about drones. I think something else, well, the drone issue is a big one. I think drones are arms. I think we're losing quite a bit by dismissing them or just ignoring them. It's a lot like the ban on Chinese ammunition or Chinese guns. People at the time, I guess they didn't pay attention. I was one of them, right? Nobody paid attention when Bush did that. Years later, I'm like, what the hell? So I think that in a couple of years, when everybody else in the world has got cool drones, we're going to be like, dang it, wish we would have kept drones around. Is Rumble like 98% video games, or what is TTRP? I don't know what that is. G Lives. I don't know. I actually never been over to Rumble. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I've been over to Rumble, but I haven't been over to Rumble to recently or to pay any real attention over there. I've tried to figure it out a couple of times, but because it's such a pain in the ass to stream too, I don't pay as much attention. I don't know if it's viable or not. Like I say, unless something happens, I'm not planning on using it. Oh, tabletop role-playing, huh? It probably could be that, but I don't know, why wouldn't you use YouTube for that, right? Like you can use a YouTube Hangout or whatever. Oh, wait, there aren't. Oh, wait, is there still YouTube Hangouts or something like that nobody uses? Snob is out there also. I've brought my co-host up here. He's making a little bit of noise. He got done eating, and then I made some potatoes earlier that I didn't eat, so he ate the rest of them potatoes. So he's got a belly full of potatoes, and that's the noise he makes when you fill him up with potatoes. Clover's saying that the biggest issue with Rumble is in the search delivery system. It doesn't serve up videos remotely the same way. You almost got to have a built-in audience for it to work. Oh, I see. So, like with YouTube, you, I don't know, talk about purple hair dryers. And you do that enough times, and they're going to find people that like purple hair dryers and hook you up together, because their goal is to do that. Rumble probably just can't do that yet. I'm sure they'd like to. Let's see, Outcast saying, hopefully we can still keep drones around. Maybe it will encourage an American company to offer something comparable at a reasonable price. I like the concept of encouraging made in America. There's people that say something like, you can do that by rewarding without punishing. So, again, I don't have a problem being mean to China. It's not like I love China or nothing that much, like some people out there. But I don't hate China either. I'm not scared of China. I think people that are scared of China aren't paying attention, because China has a real problem with their generations. Like, they are going to have like not a lot of human beings over there, as many as they've had. And I don't know, there's lots of reasons why I'm not too worried about China. They had the potential to be a problem, but I don't think they're that big a problem. But being overly concerned about them just makes no sense. But I've been, now that I play with drones, and once I got my license, that means I can play with them without having to hide them or whatever. I can actually use my stuff and play with them, and I'll put it on YouTube and stuff. Where before I was not being able to do that. I couldn't really talk about it or anything. So anyway, now that I've got like more incentive, more fun, and more reason to play with them, and I do want to use them for some kind of like real estate work. I'd like to pay for them let them pay for themselves. Is that the way to say it? They were expensive. So if I can make a few bucks off of them and, basically get them for free, then I'm happy, right? So, I'd like to figure out how to do something with them. So as I go out there and practice, like, they're just so much fun, and you can't believe how much fun they are. The little ones that you can put goggles on and fly around, it's like you're inside the thing. So it's like having a remote controlled toy that you're inside of, flying around. It's amazing. Like, I don't know if you've ever played VR video games or whatever. It's like that, except instead of doing that, you've got $700 flying around that you're going to break. And break somebody else's shit, because you're probably going to bump into something and cost money. So much more fun than a stupid video game. You got thousands of dollars on the line. But anyway, they're super fun, and I think they're tactically useful. Let's see, like a Critical Role, millions of subs, or Dimension 20. I'm missing whatever that came from, I think. Clover gets into drones and they ban drones. Yeah, it's messed up. So they basically said, unless something changes, we're going to ban these two companies, the big company and the second biggest company. And then the day before they were going to ban those two companies, they said, hold my beer, because now we're going to block every single foreign drone from being imported into the United States. I mean, that's every toy and everything. So I don't understand how that even happens, but that's what they did. And I don't think anybody, you know what I mean? It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't like taken effect. So I don't know what's the consequences that's going to be. How do you choose AR buffer springs? Sergeant Joe Smith says, how do you choose AR-15 buffer springs? I notice there are different lengths and thicknesses. Is it longer barrel needs a spring, or longer spring? Or what about buffer weights? Right, so that's the whole thing. And you get into the math or the science of the AR-15, and while it's physically a platform, I guess, some people would not like to say platform, but I'm just going to use the word platform. But while the AR-15 is a form factor that gives you the interchangeable parts, the interoperability of the components, or whatever the words are, that part's all well and good. But as soon as you start messing with the different parts, for example, putting on a longer barrel, putting different calibers in it, changing the position of the gas, so if it's either the mid-length or the rifle-length gas system or a pistol-length gas system, that means the dwell, the time between the charge or the powder igniting and creating pressure that goes down the gas system to push the the gas block on an AR. That time that it takes, I think, is called the dwell. Let's call that the dwell. you make that racetrack bigger, you make that loop bigger, it's going to take longer. You make that loop shorter, it's going to take shorter, right? So the longer barrel, the different type of gas blocks, the different mechanisms you use to release your bulk carrier, all of that stuff starts coming into play, and that's why you buy a gun that's already made, right? That's what they've done. They figured all that out. So you go to like XYZ company and you buy their model AR-15, blah blah blah. It's because they figured all that stuff out. They bought all the components, they did all the work, they test fired it and figured everything out. You're buying a gun that works. Nobody talks about it because most people don't shoot their guns. People that collect AR-15s, that's the dirty secret nobody wants to talk about. People that collect AR-15s and just make them all different styles and shapes and ways, they don't always shoot those things. And if they do shoot them and they don't shoot well, they just move on to the next AR-15 that they're going to build. They just count it as a loss and move on. Some people will diagnose the issues. But anyway, so essentially the best bet is to hang out with a gun shop that knows their stuff with AR-15s. And how do you know a gun shop knows their stuff with AR-15s is they're going to have a tackle box, like a toolbox or a tackle box that's full of AR-15 buffers and springs and stuff, and different components that they can use to kind of balance out a gun that's acting weird or made of components that weren't built to work together and are trying to be made to work together. And I've seen it a couple of times where just really goofy parts being put together ended up being difficult to tune. I'm making it sound like the worst case scenario. Most of the time, you put together a rifle case gas system, a rifle barrel of some length, and a standard receiver extension, then you're just going to use a standard buffer and a standard buffer spring. But all those other ones exist for all the potential that I was just kind of going on about. Now, how often, again, do you see people really dealing with that? I don't know. Like, I haven't been around this stuff long enough, or in a while, I guess I should say. Back in the day, I would say 1 out of 15 guns had an issue. 1 out of 15 guns being built had an issue, because most of the time the AR is pretty robust, or whatever the word is. Like, it can handle quite a bit of slop or whatever. It might not run great, or it might have a hiccup once in a while, and then you can figure out if you tune it a little bit, it never has a hiccup. But people don't care because they don't shoot them enough, or they don't shoot them hard. If you're not shooting them hard, it hardly matters anyway. If you're just sitting there at a bench shooting occasionally, all ARs work. It's when you're actually running the gun that, shooting it hard, doing stuff in different positions, like shooting upside down, smashing through something, having the gun get knocked around, then the guns start having issues. As far as like the different tubes and the different buffers and the different springs, a little bit of that is, hey, I know how to make a different tube, and maybe for my specific reason I needed it, but now I'm going to market it and sell it and, tell people they need it. There's a bit of that. I don't know how much of that anymore because I don't pay attention to this stuff, but that's one of the reasons I quit paying attention to this stuff, is because the world was getting saturated with people bringing stuff to the market for the AR-15 that was, I'm going to say, essentially unnecessary. It was, a cosmetic thing is one thing, but like a twisted thing that has a knot in it instead of having 4 rivets in it, you're just doing it different to do it different. You're not doing it different because scientifically it's somehow better. And a lot of that kept getting played off as like, well, we're going to pay somebody to say it is better, and then challenging that, and it got to be really petty. So one of the reasons, and then we got into pistols, right? The rip-offs of Glock and the rip-offs of SIGs or whatever happened. So then we ran down different paths of all of that. China should be scared of itself? I believe so. I've seen some interesting things about China. There's no way to know, right? Because you listen to somebody who loves China, they're going to tell you one thing. You listen to somebody that hates China, they're going to tell you something else. You listen to somebody that knows about China, right? They can tell you a lot about China. And then you listen to somebody who just says a lot of shit about China. There's a lot of those people out there. So you've got to weed all that out. And I don't really care enough about China. So what usually has to happen is I'm watching somebody's podcast and they bring on a guest who is talking about China. And then it's interesting, interesting enough for me to watch the whole thing. So I've seen some things from podcasters who were in China, and I think they had a pretty honest opinion. It seemed like they liked China, and then they got ran out of China. So they, saw China when it was basically indifferent to them, and then they saw China when it saw them as a threat and ran them out. And I think that says a lot. But their opinion of it was that China looks at the rest of the world as just not China. So the way that we think of China paying attention to us isn't necessarily the way China pays attention to us. We're just a not Chinese country out there in a lot of ways, where, we pay attention to each other country like they're all individuals. I don't think China thinks of us like that. Anyway, so like I say, I don't think they're not targeting us. But maybe they are. Maybe I'm being duped. Let's see. Will they ever make tiny drones for CCW? Like drone swarms, or maybe palm size? I definitely think we'll have some sort of like hovering thing. Because there's already, I already own one. Clover owns one. Chris from 740 owns one. Other people might own the Neo, it's called. Like that does go around, and if you walk around, it'll just hover around you until you stick your hand out and it lands in your hand. And it's like a little bug. It's not even that little, right? So, it is pretty little. You can put it in your pocket. So that will get smaller. It has to be, right? Because they already make tiny little toys. So all they got to do is figure out how to make those tiny little toys smarter, which they have basically been doing. So yes, they'll definitely have them for just people. Now, whether or not that'll be incorporated into CCW, I can't imagine why it would not. Because let's say you're going to walk into a parking lot. They say, walk into a parking lot with your keys jingling, or like with a flashlight, or, like with having a conversation on the phone so somebody knows that you're, there and that you're known about or something, right? Like they give you all these suggestions for walking around a parking lot. Well, what would be better than having a little drone over your head that's recording and shining a light in front of you, right? And when you get to the car, it comes back into your hand and you put it in the cigarette lighter and it charges or whatever. Or it probably doesn't even need to charge. These things are awesome nowadays. So I can't imagine why we won't have little, what would you call that? Little, like umbrella drones, or little nightlight drones or something that they call them. So basically like a little Overwatch. And then, if that's the case, because I don't know if we have those for operators yet or not. I don't know if we'd need them for operators, but we might have them for operations, like something that goes up and becomes an Overwatch, like we're going to go into this battle. Why wouldn't you want 3 or 4 drones up there just so that you'd have cameras in the sky? We can do it. It costs nothing. Let's do it. So, if they make these things for people that just, to have as like a security drone or whatever, then of course people are going to hack that and give it some kind of CCW protocol where it'll go up and hover higher, or hover with the movement so that it's less likely to be attacked by the bad guy. Record the bad guy from multiple directions. Like say people will come up with all kinds of strategies for their CCW drone. But I could see that being a thing, yeah. And imagine what happens when the drone turns into the size of an egg. Something you just throw in your pocket, you put it up in the air and it stays in the air, but it's like the size of an egg because it uses some kind of, hover technology that the aliens give us or something. Then yeah, we're going to have little cameras floating around. Let's see. Whole country is having lots of major issues. I don't know what that means. Gen X, my usual expectation is low, fused with sarcasm. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. Oh, you're talking about the AR-15 thing? A bit more complicated than I can type here because you only get to type a little bit in these things. But it depends mostly on what kind of gas you got coming back from the gas system. So suppressed or unsuppressed cartridge, like the caliber, and then, what, I don't know what he means by bore. But it's not like, It's not as simple as if you have a rifle length barrel, you use of the standard size buffer. You could probably start there. Like that's where I would start for sure. It's just that you might have to adjust it, and that's where just taking it to a shop where they have like, a buffer of 3 different weights where they can just put it in there and see. Has Clover done a drone video? Yeah, he's done drone videos. Let's see. Clover saying he just picked up $300 worth of random buffer and spring kits to play around with his new super safety. Oh, so I didn't think about that, but yeah, as there's these new trigger kits and new safeties, I guess, then those will probably, I don't want to say inevitably, but probably lead to people playing around with their buffers and stuff. I think it's also one of those things like, like you got a sweater with a little piece of string hanging out, and if you leave it, everything's fine, but if you start picking at it, all of a sudden you got a hole in your sweater. It's one of those things. Like, if it ain't broke, then leave it alone. Like, it's fine. And if you're, well, I won't get into it because I don't know that much about it anymore. I like making my own so no one knows what I got. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see, you don't have to deal with it often. I have several dozen ARs, all custom except for like 4, and one of those I had to adjust the buffers in spring. So there's the Clover telling you. So like I said, I'm bringing up a lot of stuff when I was going off on that tangent because I just hung out at a shop where they did a lot of ARs, and of those ARs, only a few were ever really a problem. Very small ratio. Hold on, I gotta check. Why is this thing beeping at me? Let's see. I guess DJ's taken off already. Yeah, these aren't Derringers. Yeah, there's not even one Derringer. No, there's one Derringer right there. Let's see. A Derringer is a mini revolver. That is not correct. Most NAAs? Nope, not really. Well, okay, most are probably NAAs, but they're not all NAAs for sure. Yeah, a tiny Derringer would have the fixed barrels, exactly. Let's see. So is everyone excited about the $200 NFA fee ending January 1st? I'm going to be interested that it changes because it's a change, right? And we need to take nibbles as what they are. But it's a nibble and it's not a bite and it's not we haven't finished the meal or nothing. So I'm not going to participate, even though it's $200. But a big deal. I don't buy nothing anyway. But I think I'd like to see the removal of the NFA. So for me, it's only like a partial win as far as that goes. The other side of it is, I'm in the minority. I'm sure, like most people are just happy to not have to pay the $200, especially if they already are on the NFA, or you know what I mean. Like the items are not are the things that are on the registry, not us, but we all know that we're attached to the firearm, so no matter effect, we're in it. But the people that are familiar with the process, the people that are comfortable with it and essentially assume that they're already in the system, will have no problem grabbing as many as they want now, right? As many as they can afford, as many as they've always wanted. So that part of it, that element of it, I'm definitely excited for. Like SHOT Show, this will be my 20th year at SHOT Show. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's mopey, and sometimes it's super exciting. I think this will be a fairly exciting one. Hold on, I gotta do something here. I'll be back in a second. Entertain yourselves for a minute. I'll be back in a minute. Interesting. Just had to respond to a text here. Sorry. So I'm definitely excited to see what's going to happen at SHOT Show. I suspect, we've had years where we've had what's the word? Like a lot of attention on suppressors. It'll be one of those years. Sorry, I'm having two conversations at the same time now. He'll quit texting me here in a second, though. So I think that this one has the potential for being awesome. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be pretty awesome, but I don't know. What the hell do I know? Maybe it'll be a weird year. But I think that it's going to be a pretty awesome year for SHOT because everything except for these little revolvers is going to be putting a can on it, So I know a lot of people are going to be taking advantage of that, and I don't want to say taking advantage. A lot of people will be using this as a reason to buy more suppressors. Let's see, PCC or ARP? I don't know what we're saying. Pistol caliber carbine, or I don't know what the other one is. Is there a 17 HMR mini revolver? Yes, there is. Good question. So it looks like a 22 long rifle. So it would look like this guy right here. Oh wait, can you see my mouse? You can't see my mouse. Right above your question, where it says 17 HMR, there's a wood-handled long rifle mini revolver. It's underneath the white-handled one, and it's next to the the all-black one, and the little black silver one to the right of it. So that guy is a long rifle, and the only way you can tell the one that's the 17 is it has a smaller diameter hole. So if you look up above the gold one, then it's possible that one is the 17. But I have a 17, and what's the other thing? What's the other one besides 17? 17 HMR Magnum or something? I don't know what the other one is, but there's one that looks like a 22 Magnum that's also 17. And those took forever to get because they only made them for a little while. So they exist, but they do not make them. It's the most hated round for some reason because it's a necked rimfire. Let's see. They smaller than the Neo that are legit drones. You're talking about in the military? I bet. The Neo 2 is more rugged than the Neo. It's got radar and shit on it. So I'm sure the military has better ones than the Neo 2. And I bet you they can just wing them into the air and they're flying. You know what I mean? That would be cool. And I'll bet you they do that. I'd buy a CCW drone all day. Oh, snap. Woods is waiting to be incorporated into the electronic world. And yep, they did make a couple. They're the only ones that made them. Nobody else has made a 17. Drone with tasers. Bug size that attack. Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they did make something like that for going after bad guys or something, right? Let's see. When getting an NFA item, individual, trust, or corporation? Well, individual or trust or corporation. I don't think the corporation route. It seems like that is either, I don't know. I remember people dismissing that outright, whenever the trust first came out. But so doing a regular trust is the way to go. And the individual is technically cheaper, I guess. But and your mileage may vary. But putting it in a trust seems like there's more out. There's just so many advantages, and there's a few disadvantages. It's not like they're perfect. But there's so many advantages for the way that NFA shit is today that it's worth doing it that way. But all I am is witnessing. I'm not an NFAist. So if you want to talk I would talk to NFA owners in your state to get real advice, and maybe talk to not a lawyer that sells NFA trusts, because they might have an opinion that's tainted, right? But if you can talk to a lawyer that doesn't sell NFA trusts, ask them why they don't. And I think that's safe, right? Because if a lawyer doesn't sell them or offer them, they either hate them or they just don't care about them, and they're going to give you an objective opinion. I don't want to say like an honest opinion, because who knows, 'cause it's a lawyer. But I think that would be the best way to go, because gun shops have an interest in selling you one because it helps them out somehow. Lawyers, obviously, that are selling them have a reason to make you want to buy one, or, incentivize you to buy one. And anybody trying to sell NFA stuff wants you to buy them. So I tend to not trust the people that want you to buy them. I would talk to somebody who's indifferent. And then it also makes it, and the questions they'll ask you is about your family, because it all depends on, if you're a single individual or if you're a family, how old you are, how old the family is, that kind of thing. You kind of want a drone to be seen as a deterrent. I think there could be multiple, I think you're right sometimes, but I think sometimes you'd want it to be stealth, right? And you can have more than one drone. So hopefully we'll have like neighborhood drones or something. I wonder how long it'll be before drones hive once they're in the air. Like once they go up, they see each other and they know not to hit each other, for example. Once they know not to hit each other, then they can fly in formation, right? Because they could just lock into each other. We can't fly more than one without a waiver, but all you got to do is get a waiver, and then you could set up like 8 drones in a hive and that fly in like a formation like geese. You're flying the first one, but you have all those other ones following you. And then, tell those other ones to go do stuff. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't. Interesting. I don't know about all that. I just think of them as a defensive thing. I don't necessarily think of them as offensive. Luckily, I'm happy to live in a world where we don't have to worry about that shit. And as they focus on the drone, you pull out the old 45. There you go. Let's see. The mini revolver at the 7 o'clock position is just like the one I have. So let's see. 6, 7. They're talking about the black one or the one I was just talking about with the wood handle? The all black one is a blackjack. I have 2 blackjacks that are all black like that. And I think those are laser grips on them. That's why they have those grips, because I had rubber grips on my blackjacks, and I like those better. But then I got these laser grips, so I got laser grips on there now. How much do decent suppressors cost? Well, that's a good question. They were just talking about this in a chat earlier yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Here's my rant about suppressors. How much do they cost right now? First off, in a couple of days, you won't have the transfer tax. But right now, up until right now, there's been a $200 transfer tax. And I bring that up because there's that $200 transfer tax. Most people don't want to buy a suppressor every time it gets dirty. They don't want to buy a suppressor for each gun, because if they can buy one suppressor for 6 guns, that's a lot less money they have to spend. So because there has been a $200 transfer tax, they've made suppressors very strong, and they've made them adaptable to more than one firearm as much as possible. They've done things to make them repairable and cleanable, so that you buy this thing and you buy once, cry once type of thing. So right now, suppressors cost, I don't know, it kind of depends. Let's say the cheapest one's probably a couple $100 to $1,500 or $2,000 even for a really fancy high-end one. So the things that make them cost a lot are the materials, of course, if they're using titanium and blah, blah, blah metals or whatever. Then if they're using some kind of machine that's fancy to carve out the internals or to create the internals with a 3D printer or something, that might cost some money. You've got the technology, the design. They do those in-house. So it's not like there's the company that makes suppressors that just sells the designs to other companies. Everybody makes their own development. So Q&A or Q&D or whatever you call that, R&D, Q&A, R&D, costs money. It costs human beings that sit there. Unless you do that in another country, it costs you Social Security and all the other costs that an employee has. So everybody just thinks that, I see the end product and I feel like this is $50 worth of aluminum. It should cost $75. Anything more than that, I'm being ripped off. So I don't think that's the case. I've been to a couple of manufacturers, and none of them were lining the walls with $100 bills or hiding big stacks of millions of dollars in the rafters because they didn't know what to do with the money, like drug cartels or something. But there's a lot of development in them, and everybody's doing their own proprietary shit. And because of the dumb laws, most people want to buy like one 22 suppressor that works on all their 22s. They want to buy like something like a dumb 9mm or 45, which is better, can for like all their all their handguns. And then they want to buy like a 30 cal can that fits all their rifles. And then the developers have to figure out how to make that happen. At the same time, make that 30 cal can work on the 30 cal guns that people want that are 30 cal. And then they try to make a 45 gun, a specific, I don't know, whatever, 270, whatever, make specific cans for people. So all that development stuff adds to the costs. I believe that if you started looking at cans like a Spectrum, so a can that, I don't know, can like, there's a Glock can in South Africa that somebody has a video on shooting from back in the day. Those cans were made out of Glock plastic. They jam on the barrel without any threads or anything, and they're designed to last about a magazine or so. So that's a very inexpensive can. They cost like $10, and you buy like a dozen of them, and you use them until they get loud, and you pull it off and you put another one on, and you use it until it gets loud, and you pull it off and you put another one on, and you use 6 or 8 of them while you're shooting. Those cans are cheap, right? Some people would do that with a 3D printer now. Some people would, I don't know, buy those made out of like some kind of vegetable plastics, right? So like, they could just throw them into the ground and throw them like shotgun husks or something and just leave them. Like, that's the kind of technology that could happen. But because it would cost $200 to make something that lasts for 2 magazines, no one would have ever thought, no one in their right mind would have developed something like that. So how much do decent suppressors cost right now? Hundreds to thousands. After the next couple of months, who knows? Hopefully, more like what the cost of materials are. And that means, I want it made out of fancy aeronautic aluminum or something. Fine. Like, I want it made out of high density, amazing titanium for space. Okay. Or like, I just want it made out of like, carbon fiber or whatever. Then they'll be available for everybody. Thoughts on the Mac 9 DS? I don't know. What is the Mac 9 DS? Let's go find out. Mac 9. The 9 is skeptical. I'm skeptical of that part. Oh, the Military Armament Corporation? Well, I don't get paid by Military Armament Corporation. Let's put that out there right away. Second, I don't like a bunch of cuts in my guns. I don't see any need for that. It makes no sense to me. So they have some kind of cuts, serrations, or whatever in the slide. What happens if a stick gets jammed in there? Now your slide won't work. So that's not for me. It's got suppressor sights on it, I guess. Those look goofy to me. So I think those look goofy. I don't like the trigger guard. Looks goofy to me. I don't like the trigger. Looks goofy to me. The rest of it, looks kind of halfway goofy to me too. So those are my thoughts. Holy crap. Is that the cost? The cost looks super goofy to me. So don't have any interest in this one. I can't imagine what it's made for. I don't even have any idea who would buy that. Let's see. The XTC, I don't know. Depends on what caliber you're talking. Average, probably $500. Oh, you're saying the Clover's talking about how much a decent suppressor costs? I think that's probably a good estimate. Now, but in the future, I don't know. Let's see. Got to make the NFA call based on your situation. Get individual, but have a good lawyer to help. Where do they go if I die? When you don't, wait, and I don't have, wait, and, okay, so Clover's saying basically if you got people around that are going to take them or not, that's where the trust comes in. Well, let's see. Did you know the American citizens outgunned the American military with small arms and artillery until World War One? I kind of feel like we still outgun most of the military. They got big giant cannons and shit, but what are they going to do? Shoot big cannons into neighborhoods? To, you know what I mean? They can't. Like, we still kind of outgun the military. But I guess that kind of makes sense if you think about like cannons and stuff. But that's an interesting fact. I'm not going to challenge you on it. It sounds interesting. What revolver is that next to the pug? So the pug would be this one? No. Wait, yeah, that's the pug. So which one do you mean? This one or the gold one? So the pug is basically the coolest one because, or wait, this is a pug also. I got two pugs on the table. So you could be talking about this one, or you could be talking about this one, or you could be talking about this one, you could be talking about this one. So the pugs are the coolest ones for a number of reasons. One, they're called the pug, which is neat. But then they've got, what do you call this? They have like is that a bull barrel? They have like the whole, like basically what barrels look like, and then they whittle them down. So before they whittle them down, they look like this, and I think it looks cooler when they leave them like this. For some reason, they cost more when they leave them like this. But anyway, this is like a raw barrel. So it has like a shroud around the underlug, and on a real gun, like a real revolver, they look way tougher when they have that. It's not a bull barrel. What's it called? Clover will know. They've got bottom gun to the right with the brown handle. Oh, this little guy? This one is called a Velo something. It's a 22 short, made in like Belgium or something, I think, and the trigger folds, and these were made to like shoot dogs when you're driving around on a bicycle back in the old days, because I guess that happened all the time. Weird. But yeah, that's a little, oh man, it's called a something dog, like a Velo dog or something like that. Velo dog. I might be remembering it wrong. And they were from England and Belgium and those countries. Whenever bicycles were first invented, is it a Velo dog? They, I think when bicycles were first invented, it pissed off all the dogs in the world. So all the dogs in the world started to eat people that were on bicycles, or all the people that bought bicycles in the beginning of the world when bicycles were first invented were assholes, and they were mean to dogs. So dogs and bicycles didn't get along back in the day. And then the way that people addressed that was to shoot dogs, I guess, because they're assholes. But yeah, so that's what these were. And I don't like any of that part of it, but it's a neat little gun. Now it's made out of, I don't even know. It's not Zamek, but it feels like cast aluminum or something. It's like made out of, it must be aluminum. It's made out of some very, very lightweight metal. I would never shoot that gun. There's Saturday night specials, and before that there were suicide specials, and that's an example of a suicide special. And they get that name because people, you weren't necessarily, they were basically made to be ornaments or made to be like souvenirs, and then people would shoot them and hurt themselves, so they started calling them that. Anyway, so that's a neat one. And where did I get that one? I think I cheated. I call that a cheat because I think I got it on like Gunbroker or something. Oh, wax slugs. That's a good idea. But I don't know how you'd have to take apart like a 22 short, which I would be scared to do, and then take the powder out, leave the primer in, and then kind of cut it into some wax. So jam it into some wax. That would be kind of fun. I never thought about doing something like that. Nowadays too, you could do that with Haas made a bunch of stuff out of hot glue. So you could use like a hot glue, which would just kind of be a little bit stronger than wax, but still pretty safe. But I'll bet you some kind of silicone or something like that you could do too. All right, I jumped ahead, so now I have to go back. I still missed the PCC or ARP. What's the ARP? Did I miss that somewhere? All right, the suppressors cost, yep. 17 HMR. Wait, okay. So 17 HMR is neck down 22 long. Oh, okay. So then what's the other one? 17 Mach 2. Sorry. So that's the one that's 22 LR. The 17 HMR is 22 long rifle Mach neck down. But those are awesome. They're the coolest rounds ever. They're rimfire. They're necked. And they go down to like basically a BB gun. 177 is a BB gun. So 17 HMR is a BB gun with the 22 behind it. All right. DUI. I don't know what that is. Couple of gun shops, and you can see where they go for the individual, produce, and a probate lawyer. Okay. What are the UFOs on fighter jet vehicles? Fighter jet videos. Well, that's a good question, but I don't know. Depends on the video. I would suspect, though, that whenever they were playing around with what drones are today, back in the old days, people freaked out and thought those were aliens, right? So, and once we probably had something like a drone, we probably had something like a drone in the 60s, right? Maybe had a cord going to it or something, or it wasn't as cool, but, you know what I mean, could fly all around and didn't have a person in it. They probably had those above a lot of places when they wanted to create confusion and disinformation. And why wouldn't they? Like, all you have to do is put some lights on it and make it do some weird shit at night, and you'll get people talking about what's up in the air instead of what you're digging a hole in the ground to do. At least that's what I'm assuming. I've seen some interesting stuff about how they use the UFOs or the UFO story as kind of cover for just clandestine stuff that we were doing. Let's see. But also with cops, with drones is scary. Imagine so often on a street light there is a drone likely equipped with facial recognition. Well, we already have that, and that's what I was kind of alluding to before. I've been watching some of the security privacy channels, and I've watched the security stuff just in general because I've been a computer person, and knowing is half the battle, basically. So if you know what the problems are, then you could just not do some of the things that cause problems. Amazing, right? And it's that easy sometimes. And just like anything, once you're familiar with stuff, you don't have to, it's like you have to just keep up. You don't have to learn everything from scratch. So I watch some of this private or security stuff, and that's kind of adjacent to privacy. And, I'm like a lot of people. I got a YouTube channel. I do everything online, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about privacy. But in reality, privacy, we should all care a lot more about privacy. Mainly because it's like they're making money off of us. And it's as easy as saying no a lot of times. And if enough people said, no, I want to opt out, it would disrupt their shit enough that they'd have to come up with some other shit. But right now, nobody's really worried about it, which creates a situation where they can all profit off of it. And I mean, there's so many levels that you might just think about. Like, so many levels, there's a lot of theys. But so because there's no real pushback, a lot of people are making a bunch of money on this, and it's just annoying more than anything. So I don't think there's a major risk to any individual necessarily, but it is annoying, and the results of it are less than desirable. We don't get a lot of good results out of it, except for, like we probably get marketed the best flavor of pizza for us, or like the best flavor of chips or something. But anyway, I've been watching these privacy channels. And yeah, the Flock cameras, the cameras that is an individual company that has, an incentive to make money, they provide all kinds of stuff, basically pictures of license plates and other stuff, and they make that available to the police or to any company that wants it. So like a taxi company might want that kind of information, or like Amazon or somebody who's delivering stuff, UPS or somebody might want that information, or I don't know, a local pizza company might be able to use that information somehow. But mainly it's the police, where if the police want to know your whereabouts or track you, they need to get a warrant in order to like justify to the court why the executive branch wants to follow around some individual. And when they can buy the information instead of having to procure it themselves and require a warrant, well, they don't need to have a warrant anymore. So now they can just buy a lot of information. And when you talk about predictive policing and some of these other buzzwords, I can see why people are concerned with the idea that there's corporations. So there's Big Brother, and they call it Little Brother. Or like, the corporate version of Big Brother. Big Brother would be like the state watching us, right? Well, if we pay a corporation to watch us and then, just let the state purchase that information anytime they want, well, then it's fucked up, but it's also kind of defeats the purpose of not having the government watch us all the time. So I definitely understand that, but the concern here I can definitely understand, but the idea that drones on streetlights, we don't need to wait for that. Like, we already have the cameras. They're already out there. There's other systems as well, but that part of it is something that, man, even in 2013 when we started Gun Channels, this was one of the things that the guys that created Gun Channels, that we would bring up, is that if you're not paying for something, you're the product. And it's difficult to fathom why that's an issue. But at the same time, the results of it are pretty annoying. Like, they're just lame. Like, we're not doing cool shit like going to outer space or digging into the oceans or doing something awesome. Like, we're just data mining each other for just way too much data. Clover says he gets paid by them. See? He admitted it. Let's see. I've been liking my full-size PSA Dagger 9. Okay, you're allowed to like that, I guess, even though it's a 9. If you got it in 45 or some cool caliber, then you'd really be digging it. Pack rats out there, welcome. Talked about that Velo dog a little bit. Yours is a centerfire. Oh, you have a bigger one. Let's see. When will we see the AP9C clone? Oh, I gotta go look at that one up because I don't know what that is. AP9C. Oh, are you talking about the pistol? Is that the APC that you were talking about back here? Who was talking about this earlier? No, that was ARP. So anyway, this is a B&T. What is that? Brugger and Thromet. APC is Advanced Pistol Carbine. Is designed to meet the demands of today's police, special forces, and military units around the world. Well, if it's 9mm, it already is a loser. So, what was the question? When will we see the APC clones? Hopefully never. So, I don't know the Brugger and Thurmut, whatever company, as much as other people, because they came to the scene after I quit paying attention to the scene. So I'm not going to give you good info, but I'll give you my biased info. I don't like 9mm guns, and I don't like pistol caliber carbines. Why carry around that much gun to shoot out a pistol caliber? So if you're going to carry around that much gun, shoot out a rifle caliber, put 2 hands on the thing. I don't understand that just because you can make something doesn't mean it needs to exist. So make whatever gun you want, like that's fine. But trying to shove it down the throats of people like it solves a purpose, I don't have to deal with that. So it's an AR looking thing that they jammed a 9mm magazine into. There's no magazine extension or receiver extension because it doesn't need one. It's blowback probably. So another blowback version of like, whatever, a Mac or a Tech, bleh, it's not my thing. I don't know if it's better. Like, how can it be better? Is it extruded better aluminum or something? Like, maybe it's better made than a Mac or a Tech, but you're still in the same place. You can't shoulder it because why would you put a stock on something like that? And that means when you put it out in front of you, it's just too much gun. So either carry a pistol or carry a rifle. I don't get these. So when will we see a clone? I don't know. What's the one with no grips? That is just a 22 short that I have a bunch of, like, that white one is a white laser grip on there. And the one that's next to the blackjacks or between the blackjacks. And then the one in the center with the bayonet on it is a blue laser grip. And then, I don't know. I have so many grips. I think I was just playing with them. That one, and I play Barbie dolls with them, right? I change the grips out every once in a while, or I used to. So that one was just in a transition between grips. So that's what the NAAs look like without their grips on them. So it's just an NAA short. Bruno says, hey, welcome. Let's see. Do you think we'll have to wait another year? Well, I just said, I have no idea. Wood says, I've read 1984, so yes, privacy. Yeah, I think what's crazy about 1984 is that was the government, and now, we pay to carry the phones around with us, so it's weird, right? 1984, Clover saying 1984 is a must read. At the same time, it was a hard read for me. I watched the movie not too recently ago. I watched the movie again not too recently, and I didn't like the movie. I think I liked the book more than the movie. But I have not read the book since forever. It's since the 1884, probably. Let's see. Drones doing Mach 2 and pulling 30 Gs and dropping 3,000 feet in 3 seconds or less. Yeah, I don't have any idea, but sure, why not? Because you can make a rocket a drone, you know what I mean? You can make a jet helicopter a drone or something. Let's see. Plus, if you're just pushing a light around, then you can drop a drone 300 feet and then shoot a missile with a light on it, you know what I mean? So, who knows what they're actually doing to create the effect they're trying to create, or were back in the day. Because when people weren't expecting it, nowadays, if you pull some kind of weird shit with a drone, people are going to go, hey, there's a drone, you're not going to be able to fool anybody. But if you take a drone 10 years ago, everybody freaked the fuck out. 20 years ago, people go insane. 100 years ago, you'd get shot as a witch or something, right? What are you doing, you witch? Let's see. So there are people filming congressmen on dates, and what is really weird is that when they actually a market for people buying films of congressmen on dates. You mean with drones? Yeah, that privacy part of it is a whole nother thing. But here's the thing. People have phones, which means you can take photographs and videos of people all the time, and nobody has a concern we should get rid of phones because of the privacy issue. And there's telephoto lenses, right? And there's GoPros and those kind of things. So the fact that a camera can be shoved up in the sky, you can shove a camera on a stick and shove it underneath a door or above a wall or something. There's always people that are going to do things with cameras. I don't agree with restricting all good people because of some bad people do bad shit. Drones can do the maneuvers that would kill a human pilot, for sure. And like I say, if you had a fast enough one, then it would be, scales of magnitude to what our little toys can do. And drones that keep flying after hit with a missile. Yeah, I don't know. Depends. But if it was a drone a balloon or something, maybe it doesn't need to, there's nothing to hit with the missile. Let's see. Watch the video Bowling for Columbine. It's an interesting documentary. I don't think so. That guy is very biased, and what he does is he looks, he what do they say, hand picks the data. So he doesn't look at the whole picture, and because he's not consistently unbiased, it's a very biased piece. So he's got a slant, and he makes a lot of money. Not anymore. I mean, the guy's done, I think. But for a while there, he was really surfing on the coffins. He was really making a lot of money on dead people. And I wouldn't agree that I'd get anything out of it. I think it's an example of the exploitation of the situation. But I think a real journalist, a real person who has an interest in seeing less people get hurt, would try to create less misunderstanding. He exploits the misunderstanding in his documentary, if you want to call it that. But it's an exploit it's an exploitive documentary. It's not a documentary intended to illustrate or to explain. It's a documentary intended to incite and create strife, and that's frustrating. So he does nothing to cure. He only scrapes the wounds. He stirs things up, and it's unfortunate because he's capable of doing more, but he's tolerates just doing what he does, or did what he did. He's over. He's ended a long time ago. Hit it with a Hellfire and it still flies. Parts fly behind it. I'm pretty good at flying my drones, so I'm pretty sure if you tried shooting my drones with a Hellfire, I'd be able to outmaneuver them. And even if you did take out one or two of my engines, I would still be able to fly it. So that's not unreasonable for those of us that are excellent drone pilots. Let's see. Is the one for on the far right a clerk in 22 short? On the far right. I'll make underneath the logo here. I don't know what you mean by a clerk in 22 short, though. Sergeant Joe Smith says, I seen that movie a couple years ago. A nano drone. Foss is saying books are always better than the movie. I'm about 3 episodes into Space Battleship Yamamoto. Let's see. 1984 book captures the terror of non-compliance. The movie does not. Oh, that's an excellent point. Yeah, for sure. The movie like shows the gist of like the reality, like the world that the book is written in, but it doesn't get into. It doesn't bother to get into his head and talk about all the messed up manipulation that goes on. Guns Waters out there, welcome. Ozzy, I haven't been saying hey to everybody, but welcome to everybody who's out there. Woods is out there. Earlier I said if anybody wants a link, then let me know, but nobody said anything, so I quit asking. Let's see. I don't know if I'm corking anybody or whatever. Agorizers out there, welcome. A lot of people are drawing up. Let's see. Drones can be taken down by throwing a stick at it. For sure. Like winging like some kind of like fishing line, probably. You know, like a fishing line coming out of a slingshot. I haven't done it because I got no interest in destroying my own drones. We could take some toys out sometime, though, like the toy drones, and try knocking them down. But I suspect they're real easy to take down. Now, not when I'm flying them, because I'm a very good drone pilot. I'd be able to maneuver expertly around whatever you're winging at me. And I'd have like Spidey sense sort of abilities. Like I'd be able to move out of the way ahead of whatever's going to hit my drone. But a regular person flying a regular drone, yeah, they'd probably be easy to take them out. Tennis racket with like a rock or something. I don't know about y'all, but when I was a little kid, I never played tennis, but we had tennis rackets laying around, and we'd go out in the driveway and wing rocks, and you can do some damage when you have a tennis racket and a rock. I don't know if you ever tried that before, but I bet you could get pretty good at knocking drones out of the sky with, or like if you had one of them rubber balls and a tennis racket, I bet you that would take out a drone pretty good. Let's see, I read somewhere that Ukraine bought like 5,000 Mossberg 590s for drones. Like they put Mossbergs on drones, or they were shooting at drones. I really don't think shooting at a drone would be all that effective, because I've seen some footage of like the real war drones are hauling ass. Like you'd never be able to shoot it. Like you wouldn't even know where it's coming from because they're not big enough to see. You know what I mean? They're just so little. You'd know, you'd hear them, but you don't. I would scare. I don't think you could shoot them. And then, I don't know. I just don't. I think you'd be out of range so far. I'm not not just because I hate shotguns, but I'm just saying I don't think shotguns would be that effective against drones. Now, would they buy 5,000 of them? Sure, because they got all that money that we give them. Why wouldn't they want to buy 5,000 shotguns? They just said they were buying them for drones. Now they're just going out and playing with them. Well, I'm all caught up with the comments, I think. If I missed anything good, let me know. We're about an hour in. We got a bunch of people watching. Mainly, I didn't go live earlier this weekend. I was sick yesterday, so we didn't go live. And I didn't see anybody live right now. And let's see. The Gun Owners Radio was on. And what were they talking about? Made me kind of think about going live. They were talking about... Got to think for a second because we've been talking about all kinds of different topics here. Well, they were talking about something, and that made me think, you know what, I'm going to go live, and if the subject comes up, then we'll talk about it. Packrat's saying they'd buy any shotgun they can get. Yeah, probably. Both sides use small drones right off the shelf with bombs attached, and that is something different. Yeah, if you're talking about like the kind of like a DJI drone, like what they have banned in the United States, that you probably could shoot with a shotgun because it's not really flying. I mean, it can fly fast, but when I'm thinking of those war ones, those are like the buzz bombs that are flying in from way high at a target, like, you know, zooming in like a kamikaze. Nothing you can do about that. But then sometimes you see them where they're just flying around with like a bottle of gas or something, and they're just hovering above somebody with a bottle of gas. Something like that. I imagine you could shoot it. And even if you didn't disable it, you'd shoot the gas and it wouldn't be useless. It'd be kind of useless anymore. But also, there's got to be ones up there just flying around to look around. And again, I don't really think you're going to hurt the ones that are just flying around to look. But I don't know. Yeah, I bet you I haven't really looked because I don't really care. I like drones, but I'm not like militarizing my drones or anything. I just like flying them. Like, the best part about drones is flying them. And then the next best thing about drones is that there's a camera on there. So it's like you get to wave a camera around in the sky. It's pretty neat. So I've been going out in the morning and looking at the sunrise, like taking it up and taking one of them up and trying to get some kind of angle on the sunrise with some mountains in there, maybe a cactus or something. Trees mostly. We don't have enough cactuses out here. But, that's what I play with my drones. I haven't haven't gotten too curious about I'll let the younger generation worry about militarizing them. Did drones make tanks obsolete? No. Tanks were obsolete when I was in. Back in the day, when you were going through, I forget what they call it. They call it something in processing or something, when you're like doing all your you've seen it in the movies where they give you your uniform and they cut your hair and they do that kind of shit and they give you your shots. There's like a whole bunch of shit you got to do when you first get in. And in those days, in the olden days, they would put you in these movie theaters a lot of times. And in one of these movies that you're watching, like while you're waiting for everybody else to do something, because it'd be like 100 people getting their hair cut. So you got to do something while you're waiting for 100 people to get a haircut. They'd have this movie going. So you'd go in there and watch this movie. And one of those movies said something like, I don't know why they showed this to us, but they said something like, the lifespan of a tank driver is 30 seconds after war is declared, because every single tank is on a map somewhere with a missile pointed at it. And as soon as war is declared, they're going to push the button and all those tanks disappear. I was like, oh, okay. And that was in the 80s. That was like the mid-80s, mid-80s. So I don't think drones made tanks obsolete. I think tanks being giant-ass shit that can't move around very fast made tanks obsolete. Plus, we don't need tanks anymore since we don't use them for nothing. And what they shoot can't go far enough. So I think a lot of stuff made tanks obsolete. We just don't shoot. We don't fight like that anymore. Let's see. There's also a 17 Super Mag. Oh, I didn't know that one. All the ones you see in the Ukraine are wire guided. Now all the ones you see are wire guided. Both sides can jam the signals or track the signals to the operator. That's it. That's so neat. And just the concept of like how that technology is growing is weird. Drones are ineffective against tank armor, but you could probably fly a drone like right into the eyeball of a tank or whatever, like right down the tank tube or something. Like you could probably really mess up a tank. Like if there's some way to mess up a tank, I would feel like a drone could do it. But I don't know. I think the reason tanks are vulnerable is because they're massive and they're slow. And they're easy to see. But I don't know shit. What do I know? Like I say, that's one movie I seen a long time ago. And there's a chance I'm remembering the movie wrong. But I don't think I am. During these times is when you would play some kind of music if YouTube wasn't a bunch of jerks. All right, well, at some point, the number of people commenting under whatever, you get so few people in the chat that there's not enough comments coming in to make it a full-time chat anymore. So we'll see what happens here, but there's no guarantees. Now, here's the thing. If I get $1,000 in super chats, I'll stay live for another hour, at least one more hour. But that would require $1,000 in super chats. So we'll see. It doesn't mean you have to do one $1,000 super chat. If 100 people want to do $100 super chats, that would be the equivalent. So we'll see what happens here. Watched a drone fly into the hatch. See, that's what I'm talking about. Plus, it would just be as scary as shit to have you be sitting there inside your tank and then a drone flies in, even if it didn't have nothing in it. Like, it would just bug you that, that can happen. All right, well, so unless anybody's got any other things, I think we did a pretty good hour here. Hopefully, answered a bunch of questions and intrigued a bunch of people. What were they talking about in that chat? They were talking about it was a pretty interesting one, but for whatever reasons, probably because we've just been talking for an hour about other topics, it's they were talking about national reciprocity. So they were talking about national reciprocity, and they did an AI video for national reciprocity, and essentially it was an AI video that opens up. So it was made with AI, I should say. So it opens up and it looks normal. It looks like it's a realistic look. It's not like a cartoon, or it's not like claymation or anything. It's just a realistic look. And it starts out with like a gas station in the middle of nowhere, like let's say a California desert or something. So like along the highway, some kind of gas station that's closed, but is open during the day, but it's closed because it's at night type of thing. And then it's a car driving up to it, I think, and then you see that it's a lady in the car, and she's sort of talking. It's like you're in the passenger seat now, and she's stopping in front of this gas station, and she's saying something to the effect of, because of this is HR 38, they're trying to be in favor of HR 38, and because the states prohibit carry in their state for somebody who can normally carry in their state, the state that they're from, I'm not able to carry, and I have to go into this gas station because I have to use the restroom, and it's scary for me. And because of groups like the antis are more worried about their political agendas than my rights or my safety, I've got to go in here without the means to protect myself. And it was an AI video, so the person saying all that was, an AI generated thing, and it was good. It was actually really good. It was really well made, but you could tell it was AI. And I said, they were asking the group, the viewers, what they thought of that. And you know me, I'm all about AI, but I told them my opinion is that the AI is distracting, and that I would not do it with AI. I would use just any person, probably female, but like any person who's, and I don't think it has to necessarily, another element to this though, I don't think it needs to be a gas station in the middle of nowhere. I think it probably makes more sense to have it just be a gas station in town somewhere, like a normal gas station, and just have a regular girl saying, hey, because of these laws, everything she said, because of the way that the laws are, I'm not allowed to protect myself in here, and I don't know what's in there. Like, it's a gas station that's, anything could happen. Could be, 99% of the time it's going to be nothing. Anyway, I don't have to tell you the whole script. But I think it's should just be a regular person, only because we're in a time in the world where the AI is distracting, and we want the message to get through and not get hung up on whatever distraction, whatever glitch. There's people that are being taught to hate AI, like AI is horrible. Like, there's nothing good that can come of AI. Everything about it's bad. And we're trying to get two messages across in this video. AI is okay, don't worry about it, and here's the message. And I think that's too much. If we want to get the message across, just put a human in there, get the message across. Let's see. Justin is saying, when the war's over, it will take years to remove all the fiber optic wire. Bunch of crazy pics showing it all. Looks like a world of spiders took over. Interesting. I have seen like that, like the aftermath where there's lines on the air or whatever in the trees and shit, but I never thought about like how much of it is over there. Woods is saying the AI videos are kind of creepy. This was actually fairly well done. Like, it decent, and you could tell it was AI, but it took you a minute. Even me, like I was watching it, and I'm like, I don't know if it was a 40-second video, like 10 seconds into it, I was like, oh, this is AI. And then 20 seconds into it, I was like, oh, they shouldn't have done this with AI. Because it was, I don't know what his word is, inauthentic. It just makes it seem like you're pushing a button instead of giving a shit. And, we're still in that world. So AI's got its place, but like, hey, remember to buy stamps or, remember to be nice to somebody, or like, little messages, but not, hey, here's something important, or here's something I like you to trust me about. I'm not putting AI up for that. In this case, like I say, it wasn't so much the creepiness, just the fact that I think it's still, sending a robot in to do something that a human it's more appropriate for a human to do. Now, as far as the other side of it, just the fact that it's HR 38, I'm not a fan of HR 38. Other people disagree with me on this, but I like the idea of national reciprocity. It's cool in theory, but I don't think we need it, because I think it gives power to the federal government that's unnecessary. They don't have it. They don't need it. They're not necessarily asking for it, but they're giving it to themselves if they pass HR 38. They're saying that we can tell you if you can carry a gun or not. And I'd rather see the states all say, we've just decided to carry guns. So it's not that I hate guns, and it's not that I don't know, whatever other shit you want to throw at me because I don't like HR 38. I just don't like the idea that the federal government forces the states to do shit. I'd rather, like I say, see incentive than force, because I don't like to see that precedent. I don't. It might be on our side right now, but when it's not on our side, that's when I don't want the government to have that ability to just make a decision like that. So I'd rather win by the harder way, by public opinion. And that's what I was saying earlier in this show, and I said in the Gun Owners Radio show earlier. I think one of our biggest failures this year, we haven't had that many failures, honestly, but one of the failures, if it's considered a failure, is just the lack of effort to end this whole thing. Like, we don't need to keep having endless debates about guns. People drive down the street, people walk down the street next to drivers knowing good and well, like they know full well that there's drunk drivers. They don't know who's a drunk driver. They don't know that there's a drunk driver on that street, but they would not be surprised if you told them there was a drunk driver on that street. They understand that there are drunk drivers out there, yet it doesn't even faze them to walk down the street next to them, right? They know that there's distracted drivers, people on the phone. I can't even tell you, have you looked around? I mean, hopefully you're not on the phone, but have you looked around at people driving in 2025? Like, I don't talk on my phone. I don't use my phones, not because it's a law. I just don't like to use my phone when I'm driving because I got other things to do. I'm driving, right? But everybody's on their phone. Everybody's on their phone all the damn time. I'm surprised cops can't just pulling people over constantly. I used to get upset because people park so freaking far behind the line, wondering if it was some kind of conspiracy or something. A little bit like you get to a red light and people are like a car length away from the light. And they give you all these dumbass excuses. You know what it really is they're on their fucking phone. They can't wait to get on their damn phone. They brake because, I'm close enough to the light. Brake, get on their damn phone. So, yeah, people are massively addicted to those things. But do we walk down the street right next to them? Yeah, no problem. Do we drive right next to them? Yeah, no problem. Do you walk across the crosswalk in front of these people? Yeah, no problem. Every once in a while, they hit somebody. They hit a pedestrian. Do we go, oh, there shouldn't be cars. Oh, cars should be taken away. No. So we live in a world where we are adjacent to danger all the fucking time. Yet guns get pulled out as like the one thing that is so dangerous that blah, blah, blah. And it's just ridiculous. Like, we don't need to live there anymore. And we've come so close to realizing that. And the only thing that stopped us from following through and finishing that is just lack of support for the people that were paying attention to that. And that's just the waxing and waning of interest in our rights. When our rights are under attack, we tend to care. When we care, we effort towards it. When we effort towards it, we make a little progress. Once we've made a little progress, we take it for granted. We could give a shit. We go back to exercising our rights. Like, why wouldn't we? I mean, I'm not bitching. I'm just saying that's just the natural way it happens. And that's where we're at right now. Everybody's just kind of happy with the way things are. We just got our tax taken away, so people are going to start shooting quietly and stuff. So they're just not thinking about taking another big-ass step for freedom, and we kind of lost that momentum. Why? Because in 2020, the bullshit happened. Up until then, from 17 to 19 to 20, holy shit, was there some momentum. It was pretty fun back then. Will we get that momentum again? I don't know. Who remembers the momentum? Can we get that back again? I know a couple of you, a bunch of you actually, were still there. Like, we're there. I don't know how many of you were paying attention to it all. But I don't know what created that momentum other than the internet fostering a communication amongst people that had never been able to communicate before. And once we all realized that guns were cool and that most of us were okay with guns, that we could actually overcome this misunderstanding that's, exploited by so many fucking people and end it. And then 20 happened and it all got kind of stopped because everybody started paying attention to podcasts and moping and being scared, which is, the natural way. I'm not bitching. Maybe it's AK neon. Hard to be sure. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. Oh, I see. I got a neon sign with a rooster with an AR on his shoulder. Or maybe it's an AK. Hard to be sure. Now I got you. Let's see. So I remember I'm still there. What do you mean you're still there? Still back in the olden days? All right, well, so now I get a little bit more rant there. Nobody really said nothing, but I was just really ranting. Doesn't the second give the Fed that power, not the reverse? I don't know if the second gives any power to anybody, does it? We said hey to Gizzard, I think. Oh, I see. Woods is saying I'm with you on always limiting the feds. Reciprocity. I like the idea of reciprocity for sure, but I like it when the states just decide to do it. And I think that we can, well, I know that we could. It's just a matter of doing it or figuring or coordinating it. But with all the people that, if we think about where we buy our products or where we vacation or where we do business or, I don't know, any other kind of things, what we plan to do when we think about other states that are affected by it or how we can affect other states with our decisions and choices, we can utilize that. We can, especially with the apps and the power of shit today, there's you would think that we could, with a little bit of effort, figure out ways to put pressure on the states that are given, making the worst situation for people. Scott's taking off. Good night. Have a good one. How late is it? Oh yeah, it's pretty late, huh? It's only 9 o'clock here. Oh, shit. You alright? I was dropping him and then he did a wiggle and he fell on his ass instead of on his feet like he's supposed to. He's alright though. But yeah, I guess I'll shut it down here. Like I say, it's 9 o'clock. I think it's only 8 o'clock if you're on the better coast, but it's probably midnight or something if you're on the other coast. Yeah, he was being annoying, so I took him up here, and then he just made a bunch of noises, and then I basically dropped him on his ass. So now he went away. Now he's laying over there. He's somebody was saying something about these dogs that have short faces, that they don't like to regulate their heat right or whatever. They got short noses, so the nose is the upper part of the mouth is the part that regulates heat on a dog, I've been told. So since they got a little upper part of their mouth, they got a very little part of their body to regulate heat. Anyway, so he's super cold, even though it's 70 in the house. if he lays on the floor too long, he gets super cold, so he has to be picked up and held for a little while, and then he's too warm, or he's warm enough or whatever, and then he starts moving around and being annoying, and then I put him down. So he's figured out how to work it so that I'll, even when I'm working on stuff, I'll end up picking him up and holding him. This is what it looks like when he's podcasting about drones. This is what it looks like when we're having a bracket about guns. And we'll go to the 50 BMGs to wrap it up. Get him a sweater. He does have like a couple of hoodies. I have a really good hoodie that I got from Kilo Niner. And Kilo Niner was at SHOT Show for a number of years, and then they started going like every other year. Now they haven't been for for a couple of years now. But one year I went and I bought him a little tiny hoodie that fit him, and then he gave me his like a what am I trying to say? Like a Molly vest, a little baby Molly vest for him. So he's got one. Problem is, I put it in this cool backpack, and I have no idea where that backpack is, but it has like all of their stuff, like it's their travel bag, but I don't know where I put it. It's underneath a bunch of other stuff probably. So roll call's out there. Welcome. You going live right now? I can't go live as long as roll call. Ready for roll call? All right, well, we've got a week or so, and then it'll be another year. So let's see. Oh, New Year's is in the middle of the week. Why was I thinking it was like Friday? So New Year's will be Wednesday. Anyway, so I was thinking about something here. Sorry. What is going on? I want to open up my calendar again. So if the first will be Thursday, then already like in a week from, or by the next weekend, it'll be the 4th already. So that's interesting. Why did I think it was a week over there? I don't know. Something about looking at the calendar on yesterday, I guess, made me think we were 2 weeks ahead, or I had a week still here. But anyway. I don't know if anybody's doing anything special for the first, but I'm wondering when people have to go back to work. Probably the 5th, I'm guessing. Probably still people have the 2nd. But, yeah, that's not a lot of time. There's historically been more stuff going on in the week between Christmas and New Year's, so that I guess there's just more stuff to watch or pay attention to. So I don't know if that's a factor of fewer people doing stuff, could be, or people just being busier or something. Looks like Gizzard has a picture for going on Monday. But what I didn't, so anyway, I do have a couple of hoodies for him, and he'll wear them. He doesn't like have a problem with wearing them, but what I'll do in light of that, since I don't wear hoodies all the time, I also don't want him peeing all over a hoodie, and I'm scared he'd pee all over it. Because he doesn't give a shit, right? Like, he pees wherever he's going to pee. I just have, they're the cushions from, like, Outdoor Furniture, I think. Well, I know they are. They're just, but they're just, like, random cushions. When I see them, I buy them, because I see them at bin stores or something for, like, $1. And, they're just random. I try to buy green ones when I see them. But sometimes, like, if they're missing, like, the part that ties them to the chair or something, like, I don't care. So I just throw them on the ground. So he has a bunch of these, like, cushions all around that he sleeps on. So it's like he has a million little dog beds all over the place. What are you getting pictures of? What's happening over here? Oh, I see the sign. Now I get it. Cool. All right, well, I guess I'm going to go maybe make some more videos. Maybe not. It's 10 o'clock. Maybe I'll go to sleep. I've had a weird weekend. What's Bacon Bit's favorite food? Man, what would be his favorite food? Probably cheese. I've been eating a lot of cheese, so they've been getting paid. It turns out that the tariffs have increased the cheese tax to 30%. I had no idea. But before, it used to be 15% of the cheese had to go to them. And now because of the tariffs, it's 30% of the cheese has to go to them. I had no idea. So he definitely likes that. He's been eating a lot of cheese. I've been eating mozzarella cheese, so he's a big fan of that. But I got some, what the hell are they? They are, I think they're like, oh no, they're venison. I got some venison things that are, they look like beef jerkies, but they're for dogs, so there's no grease in them. They're like completely dry. They're not like dry like a milk bone where they snap, but they're like, you would never want to eat one. They're gross. They look like gross beef jerky for like animals or whatever, but they look like beef jerky. They're made out of venison. They're like I say, they're not anywhere near a beef jerky or a Slim Jim or anything like that. They look like a Slim Jim, but they're pliable. They don't snap, but they do break. So anyway, they're like maybe a moist milk bone. But anyway, he's been nuts for those things. But I think that's mainly because they're open and he knows where they are. And I've been giving him ones every once in a while. So usually he gets paid for doing videos. And he was doing some videos just today. And he got another like quarter of one of those sticks. And he's funny. You ever seen when like a little short dog like this runs around so fast that their back legs try to go faster than their front legs? So it kind of makes him spin out, kind of. But he's also still running, so he doesn't really spin out. He's just kind of like his back legs are going faster than his front leg. But he gets all into a mood and he does that. So if I go anywhere near the back porch where that bag of stuff is, he will run around like that. So he's definitely wearing himself out, knowing that that bag is still there. So that's probably his favorite food right now. But I think his favorite food really means whatever he's got in front of him and he can eat, and he's been eating. I like to feed him buffalo mostly. So they eat buffalo with peas. And if they don't have buffalo, if the stores don't have buffalo, then the same brand makes a lamb, and I give them the lamb and rice, I think. But whenever I had the Dobermans, I got the Dobermans from a doctor, and he made it very clear that those Dobermans were going to eat well. And he made like one of the things I helped him with was make like a little booklet, basically like a 3-ring binder of information that went with the dogs when somebody bought a Doberman off of them. And, he was really concerned that, he would only want to sell the dogs to people that were going to be good with them or, take care of them. And he gave them more than enough data on the kind of dog foods to buy. So basically I have an understanding from that of what I look for in a dog food. And it's usually the dog foods that are, don't have a filler anywhere near the top of the ingredient list. I get the stuff from Walmart. It's not like it's super fancy, but it's the blue bag. It's buffalo. I can't remember the name of it. High Nature Choice or some shit. It's got a wolf on the cover, or a wolf on the front of the bag. But mainly you look for like 26 or more % protein, and then no fillers. Like the fillers should be way down the list of ingredients, because there's going to be fillers, but you just don't want it to be like sweet potato as the number 1 ingredient or something like that. Then there's the giving them supplements, and I'm lucky because the Amazon people send me supplements all the time. So for a while there, they were eating the shit out of supplements, like sprinkling shit on their food, all different kinds of stuff. I've been doing that less and less, but I still like to throw an egg on their food once in a while. Maybe not every week, but maybe one meal a week or something like that. Maybe one meal every couple of weeks. I don't think it's that critical, but I do like to give them a little bit extra. And then they probably eat a good amount just out and about from people feeding them. Because for whatever reason, people like to feed pugs, I guess. People like to feed Mellow, too. All right, well, so that was an interesting one. I don't think we ever talked about what them dogs eat. For a while there, I got some dog food. Every once in a while, I guess I should say not for a while. Every once in a while, somebody will do dog food, something or another, and they'll send me some. So they've had some really nice dog food, some like $40 dog food, like $40 for a little tiny bag, dog food. And you could tell, like, that was some good food. They liked it. But I can't afford to feed them. Like, the food I pay them might cost $20. That stuff would cost $80. I'm not that rich. All right, well, I guess the dog food chat killed it for some people. But dog haters, you gotta like dogs if you like guns, because dogs and guns are basically the same thing. You don't have to, but you have to like dogs if you like robots, because robots and dogs are the same thing, right? Loved eggs, having those. Chickens helped out a lot. Dude, that would be amazing. I never thought about that. I'd like to get chickens, but I would need some kind of butler or somebody, because I want to be able to leave my house, and chickens require that you live at your house all the damn time. So I like to be able to travel. But yeah, if you could, or if I had access to like neighbors or something. For a while there, our neighbors had eggs or chickens, but they never brought eggs over or nothing. All we got to hear is the chickens. But yeah, if I had access to eggs, it would be amazing. I'm sure then they'd have eggs all the time. They'd probably dig it. I don't know if that'd be the best for them, but probably wouldn't be that bad. And then whenever you get a bad chicken, you can throw it at them dogs, and they can eat the chicken. All right, well, on that note, we'll end up this gun chat with chicken eating and dog loving. So if you got a dog, pat it on the head. If you don't got a dog, then I guess give your family members a hug or something. But you could also just give your dog a hug. I guess if you have a cat, you can give that cat some kind of scratch on the head, or wiggle a finger in its belly. I don't know. Whatever cats like. I don't know what they like. Sometimes they like things, sometimes they don't. Probably give it a piece of tuna. That cat would like that. Cats like milk. You can do that. All right, that's it. We're ending this thing. Let me see what kind of ending. Oh, we got a pretty good ending on here. We'll see y'all on the rebound and the rewind.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.